Well, welcome to the Healthy Communities Initiative follow-up webinars. My name is Adrienne Payne-Andrews, and I am the Project Director for the Kansas Health Foundation Healthy Communities Initiative. My colleagues and I are looking forward to spending the next hour or so talking with you about the Healthy Communities Initiative and answering any questions you might have. We have several people on the line today from the Healthy Communities Initiative Planning and Technical Assistance team. We have Jeff Usher, Sean Brown, and Elisa Buller with Kansas Health Foundation. James and Kate Baum, Healthy Kids Challenge. Scott Whittick and Kevin Baumhoff with the Center for Community Support and Research at WSU. And Vina and Kat with Innovation Network, and myself. Each person will take a few minutes to talk about their role with the initiative, to share some information about the initiative, and we will leave time at the end for questions. A few housekeeping items. To reduce the background noise, all participants are muted. And I'm going to interject. Elisa, I am hearing a little background.
Yeah, I am too. I don't know. Can analysts maybe put their phone on mute until they speak?
Or I'm wondering if the speakerphone in your office, because I'm wondering, as I'm hearing myself.
Yeah, I am hearing you as well.
Okay, well, I will finish in a minute, and then I'll put my phone on mute, so perhaps that'll just solve the problem. Okay. Let's see. I was going to talk about questions. So if you do have a question, because the participants are on mute, to go ahead and type it into the chat box, and Elisa will keep track of the questions. You can type them in as we go along, and she'll keep track of them, and we'll answer them at the end. Also, we are recording the webinar, and we will post it on the Kansas Health Foundation website shortly. Our purpose today is to provide an overview of the initiative and to answer your questions. And just again, to repeat, the mission of the initiative is to promote policy, practice, and environmental changes that support physical activity, increase access to and demand for healthy foods, and decrease use of and exposure to tobacco products and tobacco marketing in Kansas communities. With that, I am going to turn it over to Jeff Usher and the rest of the presenters on the line today. And at the end, we will answer questions. Thank you so much for joining us today. We're looking forward to this opportunity.
Thanks,
Jeff?
Adrienne. Thanks, Adrienne. Hi. Many of you may have attended or already heard some of this. It may seem a little redundant, but redundancy sometimes is okay, I think. So we'll go ahead and go through the Healthy Communities Initiative and what resources we're going to be providing to communities across Kansas. So our board has approved more than $5 million to support 20 communities over the next several years in promoting healthy behaviors. We're currently working with 12 communities across Kansas that are working on healthy community design and/or access to healthy foods. As a result of that, starting that initiative and looking at the applicants in that first round, we had a lot of really good applicants, and so we felt that it was timely to go to our board and expand it and invite 8 more communities to participate in this initiative. So basically, the initiative will provide communities, the 8 new communities, up to $25,000 for the first year of planning. Upon completion of that planning period, we will also then invite you to participate in an implementation years, and we will provide up to $25,000 per year. But we do ask the communities to find a local match, and that's something we will talk about during the planning year and help provide some assistance around how that might happen. But one of the biggest benefits, I think, of this initiative is the amount of technical assistance that we will be providing the communities. That's where most of the investment will be, so that you'll have a lot of help. And once you've identified the areas you would really like to impact in your communities, we can provide expertise to help you work through those areas. So basically what you see here is the CDC's health impact, factors for health impact that Dr. Frieden, as Director of the Centers for Disease Control, has been talking about a great deal, and a lot of this initiative is modeled after the learnings the CDC has had over the last 20 years in working with communities around really tough health issues. And what you see in this is how we tend to intervene around healthy behaviors, and the type of impact that occurs during with those interventions. Currently, most people, when we talk about we need people that are chronic disease challenged around healthy eating, physical activity, and tobacco use, a lot of people go directly to individual solutions, which tend to be at the top of the pyramid. And there's a lot of activity around counseling and education around how to eat healthy, how to become physically active, how to quit smoking. And there's clinical interventions around health behaviors that once people actually have chronic disease because of lack of physical activity or healthy eating, we have a lot of interventions: high blood pressure, diabetes, high cholesterol. We have lots of best practices that can help individuals. And then there's the long-lasting protective interventions, which we all know that we're supposed to do, like immunizations, and when you turn 50, colonoscopies, and so annual physical exams, those kinds of things. Those are all, if you think about it, individually focused. So what we're wanting to do in this initiative is really focus on what communities can do. And it also is the thing that has the most impact around most interventions. And it's the thing that I think most people in the population forget about. And that's how we can create or change the context to make the individual default decisions healthy decisions. So that usually requires some type of action by a system. It could be a school system around zero trans fats, saying we have a policy we will not serve zero trans fats. It could be, as many of us know, the success around this particular area has been around tobacco and policies that have created smoke-free environments, has created the ability for people to make the healthy choice. And then active transportation, of course, is designing communities in such a way that when you get up in the morning and you go about your regular routine, you actually walk to school, or you walk to the bus station, or you ride a bike, or you live in a development that you can walk easily to the grocery store, to church. So this is the area that we really want to focus on. And as I mentioned earlier, we have seen, and many of you have experienced, and we can talk about the culture that has been changed around tobacco. That's the CDC and the nation overall have learned how to do that. And so the real means in which we think that can happen in community is through our community change model. And this actually is a community change model that emerged from the CDC's around how to engage communities around tobacco control. But it actually works on anything that you want to impact around health policies in your community. So that's really what this particular initiative is designed around. How do we develop the capacity for communities to work on these policy issues in your community? So the framework for the Healthy Communities Initiative is really around developing that coalition and engage partners from across the sectors, and then developing a strong, influential leadership team that is also cross-sectorial, so that you engage people that can have influence over the policymakers and decision makers in your community that can help move public policy around the area that you have chosen. So we really want to emphasize the notion of exercising leadership to impact adaptive challenges that face us around these health issues, especially when we're talking about policy and systems environmental change. And when we talk about adaptive challenges, those usually are focused on systems. The technical challenges usually are focused on individual interventions that are basically on top of that pyramid that I showed you earlier. So we want to develop this leadership capacity in communities that can promote the promising practices, really through mobilizing the community through that change model, educating, advocating with organizational decision makers and policy makers. So ultimately, through this work, we hope to develop the infrastructure in communities that can really impact these health behaviors that make the healthy choice the easy choice. So we will expect that you will be working on the bottom of that pyramid, changing that context in the communities that make the healthy choice the easy choice. So the first round of communities that we're working with, in which the communities we hope that will participate in this next round will really become a part of a broader network. So the first round, we're working with Douglas County, Manhattan, Riley County, Wichita, Johnson County, and Brown County. And they're focused on access to healthy foods. That's their focus area. And in healthy communities, round one with the healthy community design, we have Finney County, Barton County, Dickinson County, Thomas County, Shawnee County, and Mitchell County, and Crawford County. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Claudia Hombaum with Healthy Kids Challenge, and she can talk about some of the technical assistance around the content areas that we've provided in this particular initiative.
Good morning, everyone. I am Claudia Hombaum. I'm the Assistant Director of Healthy Kids Challenge. And with my colleague, Vicki James, the Director of Healthy Kids Challenge, we work with a national nonprofit that is not only directed by registered dietitians, but staffed by registered dietitians with years of experience working in communities. Although we work nationally, much of our work is right here at home in Kansas, and we've had a relationship with the Kansas Health Foundation for over 20 years as either a grantee, a consultant, or now as part of the technical assistance scheme for the Healthy Communities Initiative. Our mission of Healthy Kids Challenge is to develop leaders who help kids and families eat healthy and move more. And if you're interested in learning more about our nonprofit, our link to our website is at the bottom of the page. Slide. Next slide. We work with partners, including the Center for Community Support and Research, or we refer to them as CCSR, at WSU, and they are on our webinar this morning. Also with the Kansas Leadership Center, the Kansas Advisory Committee, and we refer to them as KHF Partners. And then also national resources such as the Public Health Law Center to provide training and resources related to public health policies, or other national resources such as Mark Fenton with America's Walking, or Tyler Norris with Creating Healthier Communities. As an example of some of the resources, Healthy Kids Challenge has this last summer directed and worked with the Kansas Advisory Committee to produce a series of webinars, which were very well received, just an excellent resource. There were 6 of those that included information on farmers markets, food system policies at the grassroots level, excuse me, an excellent webinar on Kansas Health Matters, which is a great resource here in Kansas, and also on community gardens and making walking happen in your community too. We provide support for that community mobilization and education that Jeff had referred to, advocacy and education with decision and policymakers. And all of this is to strengthen current work, moving from projects to policies and developing sustainable systems to support healthy behaviors. Let me give you an example of how this might work. every community starts in a different place, and they have different needs and resources and attitudes that are happening in their community. As an example, let's take two different communities who are working on a complete streets policy for community design. Through the assessment process, which is very important, they learned that there is a lot of support in their city council, and so they take the route of having the city council develop a city policy that will help them to address their complete streets issues. In another community, however, through assessment, they find that they're having a lot of support in their transportation department, but are finding a little bit more difficult in getting all of the city councils and members in line. And so their approach to implementing their complete streets is to work with the transportation department and with their supporting commitment, develop a broad-based advocacy campaign or initiative that then becomes something that the whole community votes in favor of with a tax levy and then with the support of the city council. So there are a lot of different ways to get from point A to creating the policy that you're really looking for. An example of some of the projects versus policies that we often see are, the first one would be purchasing bike helmets, which is a great thing to do and very worthy, but is just a project, versus safe routes to school, which really helps to begin creating some of that policy in the community. Or on the access to healthy food side, a cooking class, again, which is very popular at the top of the pyramid that Jeff was referring to, versus healthy food options that are accessible as identified in a work site's cafeteria menu, purchasing, production, and service policies. So again, the goal is to make the healthy choice the easy choice. We have a lot of people asking, but we have our favorite projects that we're already doing in our community. So do we have to give up those projects? And the answer is no. You don't have to give up projects, but it may be a matter of allocating your resources so that not everyone is really spending all of their time and other resources on a particular project. That you have some people on your leadership team who are helping to direct that community mobilization and the education of the decision makers and the policy makers so that you can achieve those policies and those long-lasting goals. The process that we use with the Kansas Health Foundation and its partners to provide this assistance are, first of all, monthly phone calls. These are updates, and we help to guide and support during those calls. Also, periodic on-site visits as the need is identified through email. We also have a wonderful resource sharing site, and we had, for the current grantees, we had just a webinar about a new look on our SharePoint, which is also a public site right now. The homepage is a public site, so that has great resources on it. And then also 2 times a year, we have a convening that everyone is required to attend. And with that, I will turn it over to my colleague.
Hi, this is Scott Whittick, and I'm the director of the Center for Community Support and Research at Wichita State, and I'm here with Kevin Baumhoff. And just to say a few more words about the assistance being provided, the center, or CCSR, has about 30 years of experience working in Kansas communities and Kansas organizations, and we're looking forward to working with you and your local efforts, learning from you throughout that planning year about best practices and what's working in your community. And as Claudia and Jeff both mentioned, given the nature of this work is community-based, much of it, especially during the planning year, will be about mobilizing and engaging community stakeholders and doing that in a variety of different ways. And our role will be to assist you in helping through leadership development competencies and principles, determining ways in which you can engage and mobilize your local community to make progress on the issue that you've identified. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Kevin to speak a little bit more about those particulars.
On earlier slides, and Jeff referenced the idea of an adaptive level of work here, and really what we're focusing on here is the nature of the work being about learning, about engaging stakeholders, and not always the stakeholders that you're comfortable with engaging. Maybe you have a leadership group of people who really all represent a single and unified belief system about how your community ought to operate. And we're talking about what kind of leadership does it take to expand those stakeholders and engage in new ways, people who might not otherwise come to the table easily, but are critical to the progress that you want to make, especially in those more difficult areas of policy development and opportunity for community mobilization. So part of the leadership challenge has to do with an experimental mindset that we're there to help you develop, understanding people's values, their loyalties, the risks that they might experience, and how do you create experiments, ways of trying to engage people in new and different ways, and also holding to your purpose. A lot of the things that, in managing even your triggers around not wanting to sit down at the table with people who perhaps really stand for something that you're not comfortable with in terms of the progress you're hoping to make, or they're not comfortable with your position. So that's the essence of mobilizing a community, and that's the work of leadership. So we look forward to working with you to develop those skills, to walk alongside you, and to course correct as you experiment to make progress on these areas. Sometimes it takes the form of leadership development training. Sometimes we get right in there with you with community stakeholder engagement and facilitation at those different opportunities that you might create in your community where we could be helpful to you. And we also join closely with Healthy Kids Challenge in just talking with you about what is known and what are those practices that work and can be supportive to you in your efforts.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Zina Punkic, and I'm here with my colleague, Kat Athanasiades, and we work for an organization called Innovation Network. We're a nonprofit organization based in Washington, D.C., and we specialize in program evaluation. We're the evaluation partners of the Kansas Health Foundation for this Healthy Communities initiative, and we've been working with the foundation since about 2007 in the evaluation of their nutrition and physical activity initiative.
And the Kansas Health Foundation is very interested in learning from this initiative. Specifically, they're interested in what works in terms of improving community health. So as you can imagine, there are a lot of moving pieces involved in evaluating such an effort, especially when there are so many partners and contributors to this work. So each of the funded communities is going to be asked to prioritize 1 to 2 policy and systems level outcomes at the community level, and then determine what activities or strategies or tactics will help them to achieve those policy and or systems outcomes. Each community will also be asked to track progress on your identified outcomes. So we'll be available to provide guidance and support as you track your progress, and we'll also do what we can to standardize forms and develop different kinds of tools that will help you to facilitate your tracking of your outcomes. And it's important to remember that policy change doesn't happen overnight, and so it's going to be very important for all of the communities to really think about some of the shorter and intermediate term changes that may happen on the way towards changing the policies and practices within your community.
And if you look on your slide right now, this is a picture of the initiative level logic model for access to healthy foods. And you may recall seeing 3 of these documents in your convening packets, The first representing access to healthy food, representing promoting physical activity, and the third, decreasing tobacco use and exposure. These documents demonstrate the connection between the activities and or strategies that you may be embarking on to achieve the outcomes that you may see as a result of your work. They also highlight the 4 pillars illustrated in the community change model that Jeff Usher referenced earlier in the webinar. Much of the work that you'll be doing on the ground will be geared towards achieving a specific policy or systems change. And this work will involve some aspects of community mobilization, community education, advocacy with organizational decision makers, and also educating government policy makers. Research shows that community change efforts that include all 4 of these strategy areas are more likely to achieve policy and systems change. Our job will be to work with each of the funded communities to help you document and track your progress towards achieving the specific types of changes that you're working towards. Thank you.
Good morning, I'm Elisa Buller with the Kansas Health Foundation, and I'm just going to briefly go over the application process as well as some resources we have available for you. First, we have a link to our website, which I'll go to here very shortly, but I just want to mention some important dates for your submission of your proposals on the planning grants. They will be due on Monday, December 3rd, and those applications must be completed using our online process. And we ask that those be submitted by 5 p.m. on that Monday. And then we will announce the award for those 8 communities by March of next year. And then the actual grant period will start on April 1st of 2013 and last until March 31st of 2014. So I'll go to our foundation website page. And the first page you're taken to is the home page. And to get to the page that we created for this Healthy Communities Initiative, there's a number of ways to get there. For today's purpose, I will use our quick links section, which is located on the right side in the blue box. And you'll see there's a Healthy Communities Initiative link. Once I click on that, you'll have all of the resources available to you as well as being able to apply. So I'll just kind of walk through this page with you. The very first paragraph that we have is just, again, a brief description of the initiative and then contact information for Jeff Usher. Then the next paragraph we have available for you the RFP document, which is in PDF form. So if you haven't seen that full document, you can find it on this page. And then as another source of information, we've provided a frequently asked questions document. So hopefully you can review this and it'll answer questions that you may have as you're filling out your proposal. Next, we've provided a proposal template for you. And what this is it's a Word document, and it has all of the exact questions you'll find on our online proposal. But this hopefully will help you prepare your questions better, know what's going to be asked, share it with others on your team or community. That way when you're ready to apply online, you'll have everything right in front of you. And then also we have prepared review instructions that we're sharing with you. And these instructions are what we will be giving to our review committee as they're reviewing the submitted proposals. And hopefully this will help you prepare your proposal better and know what questions they'll be looking at as they're reviewing all of those submitted proposals. And then finally, we have a link that says Healthy Communities Initiative Online Application. Once you click on this link, it'll take you to a sign-in page, and you'll be asked to enter your email address as well as create a password. And once you've gone through the sign-in page, you'll be taken to the application. And then at the very bottom, there's contact information for me. So as you're working on your online proposal, if you have any questions about that process, feel free to email me or call me. As I scroll up to the top, you'll see on the right side there's a blue box, and in this box shows all of the slides that were presented by the presenters that we had at our RFP conference. So that's a good resource for you if you weren't able to attend that conference. So that's everything that we have available on our website. We also have an additional resource, as Claudia mentioned. We have a SharePoint site that we've created. And we'll post this link on our website for you to have easy access to it instead of referring to this PowerPoint slide. But this SharePoint site, it'll take you to the home page, and there's a number of resources and contact information. We've got a discussion board. We've got requirements for the grant, the Kansas Advisory Committee information, as well as information over the evaluation. And then at the very bottom, you can see there's a calendar, and it'll show you important dates that are coming up as the initiative continues on. And again, if you are selected as one of the 8 communities in this round 2, you'll have a page that's created just for your community that'll have information specific to things that you're working on. But this page right here, it'll be available to everyone all of the time, and we hope that it can be a resource that you can share with everyone throughout your community, and it can be a go-to site for looking at information. We'll also be posting webinars to this site, so we hope that it'll be very helpful for you. Again, questions about the initiative itself, you can contact Jeff, or questions about the proposal process, you can contact me. Now we'll open it up to questions, and we ask if you have any questions to use the toolbar on your right to enter your questions, type those in, and we'll read those off and answer your questions as a group. Okay, so we have a question. Where can I find a list of current grantees that were previously mentioned during this presentation? We'll have this presentation, these slides, posted on our website.
I was wondering, so the question specifically wants to know who applied, who's working in those communities is my guess. So you'll have a list of communities, and if you specifically want to know who to contact, if you're in that particular community, will we have that available? We could put that on the SharePoint site that we just referenced earlier, that Elisa just referenced, and we have contact information from all those communities.
Yes, if people go to the SharePoint site and click on the contacts, there's a folder with community teams.
We really want to use the SharePoint site. We had a lot of interest from folks in this particular initiative. With our RFP conference, we had 30 communities come, and knowing that we only have 8 opportunities for communities to be participating in the full initiative, we really want these other communities to continue to do work. So we're going to offer not only the SharePoint site for public use, but also we'll open up a lot of the webinars we've talked about to these communities so that the work can continue in your community. And then hopefully we'll continue. This is long-term work for us at the Health Foundation. So because we know that as we talked about tobacco and how we changed the culture in tobacco, I mean that started when I was in the 60s, and all of us can tell stories about what the culture was like around tobacco and how it is now. We think that timeline would be very similar with these particular issues as well. So it's a long-term effort.
And again, we got another question on, can we get a copy of the PowerPoint? Yes, we'll post it to our website, as well as this recorded webinar we'll post to our website as well, and it will be on that Healthy Communities Initiative page.
I'm not sure we mentioned that the past webinars are also available. Some of them are
on the SharePoint site.
Yeah.
Yes, they would be under Resources, the file box, and there's a folder for webinars. And so, Elisa, will this webinar be there as well?
We can put it there, yes.
Okay, thank you.
We got another question. Do you anticipate a similar opportunity next year as well?
Right now, we're not planning one next year, and after we learn from this, like I said, this is long-term work, so we have not decided how we will continue to build this infrastructure, but my guess is that there will be opportunities in the future. What that looks like, I don't know at this time.
Are there any other questions? We're not getting any more in. If you have any, just type them into your question box on your screen. Okay.
Okay, well, if there aren't any other questions, I will offer this. If you do have questions, you can shoot me an email, shoot Sean Brown an email, any of us on the team, and the contact information is on that SharePoint site. So if you want to go to that SharePoint site and kind of mess around with it, feel free. We want to be responsive to any questions you might have.
If someone else from the leadership team wants to be in on the next webinar, that's another opportunity. So if you found this to be valuable, but you'd like someone else to have a chance to listen to the next webinar and ask questions, we'll remind you when that is.
Our next webinar will be Monday, November 5th at 10 a.m.
Are any more comments from the team?
Not for me. This is Adrienne. Thank you very much for your attention and participating.
Thanks all.
Have a great Halloween.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Oh, we have a question.
What? Oh, thank you.